If you're not awake, then you're probably woke and woke up on the wrong side of the bed. If you do not realize or make the connection between your vote in 2020 and the prevalence of crime in inner cities and across America, then you're really missing something. And if you do not understand the implications for you, your family, and your community, then you're really missing something. The average American relies on the police for his safety and security. However, the people who live in the gated communities and who are armed and have tons of security around them have nothing to worry about. So if you turn your back on law enforcement, you're basically turning your back on the American people. And if at the same time you discourage law-abiding Americans from being armed, you make it difficult for them to be armed, and you diminish the ranks of law enforcement, then there's a real problem that the regular American on the street will be facing when he's conducting his daily activities. Now, you may think that all of this is by accident, but this is not by accident. This is actually a direct strategy being used by the Democrats. Create chaos, pretend to be the solution to that chaos, and ensure that regular Americans are unable to protect themselves, so the government has to be able to protect them. If you're paying attention, and I believe some of you have started to pay attention because things have started to hit home right in your communities, right in your neighborhood, you would realize that every week there is something that happens and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Sometimes these very bad things happen to people who are famous or people who are rich, and then it gets the attention it deserves. And rightfully so, it points to a greater problem. Eliza Fletcher happens to be a rich lady from Memphis, heiress to a major hardware company, but that's besides the point. Just like many of us, she decided to relieve some stress, to pay attention to her health, to go out for a run early morning. Like many Americans, she decided to pay attention to her health, and one of the ways of doing that is to go out for a morning run. Unfortunately, that was a last run because she came across a very vile and wicked and evil person who ended her life. From all accounts, it seems that she was a very loving and caring person, not just to her family, but to her community as well. So what I'm going to do today is to try to turn a negative into a positive and, in a way, honor her memory. We have to realize that in this current climate of crime, that we have to adjust our behavior patterns and the way we do things. With diminished police presence on our streets, we have to change things up. And we can look at what happened to Eliza Fletcher and realize these are some of the things that we can do to ensure that this does not happen to another beautiful woman like this. This sort of information I would like you to share with your friends, your family, and anyone you think that may be at risk with situations like these. So one of the things we want to do is try to get our activities done during daylight. And if we have to do them at night, make sure we travel or we walk or we run in areas that are well lit. If we're going to do things like jogs and run and exercise and stuff like that, it's best to do that with another person or persons or in some sort of group, which increases your chance of survival should someone attack. If you're going to go for a jog by yourself, it's highly recommended that you have some form of defensive weapon. And there are a lot of quote unquote safe defensive weapons. And I'm not talking about a gun or something. I'm talking about a can of mace, something of that nature, so that is easy accessible. So should you be attacked, you're able to respond and at least deter the perp for a little bit of time so you can escape. Being vigilant, being aware of your environment, looking around you, keeping safe distances from things that are unfamiliar or people that are unfamiliar is just some of the things that we have to do again. You know, we just have to get back to how we used to be. You know, it's sad, but this is a situation that we have before us right now. I mean, what you see is, you know, the criminals are emboldened. I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, generally the deterrent is police officers on the beat, walking around in the streets. That was a deterrent. Again, as I said, there's diminished police presence on the streets. So that has only led to criminals being emboldened I mean, look, this morning there was just, I mean, who would think there was a major incident where someone robbed, I think it was the post office somewhere in the Bronx. And the woman is just totally terrified. I can understand. I mean, this could have really gone south very quickly. Luckily, nobody got harmed, but I think the perp escaped with about 100,000 and some checks and some machine for printing those checks. So it was, by all measure, a decent haul for whoever it was. But these are the sort of things that are happening, and I don't see these things changing in the very near future. And the reason being is that, as I said, we'll get back to the understanding of the connection in who you vote for and how things can change in a heartbeat. Now, as I said, they cannot ruffle the feathers of a lot of their base too much. So what do they have to do? They have to allow these things to happen to ensure that they get the votes that they need. Sadly, no one is going to say it, and no one wants to say it, but this is exactly what's happening. The Democrats are afraid to offend many of their potential voters. So that's the reason why you will see that they're very careful in the way that they deal with crime.